Welcome back to Coffee Break. It's time to get over the hump day slump day. I'm here at Blackbeard Coffee Roasters with Loni, our fabulous barista, and she's going to explain how coffee beans get from the farm to our cup. So what is that whole process like?
So it's really amazing, the process, because like you said, we source our beans from all over the world, and really it's the process of the farmer growing the tree, growing the shrub, harvesting, packaging, shipping it to Greenville, North Carolina. It's a journey that our coffee is taking. So in summary, it requires a perfect blend of conditions to grow coffee.
I was just gonna say, like, does it have to be a lot of water for beans to grow? Like, it has to be kind of, a lot of it comes from South America, right?
Right, there's specific regions. So what it is that coffee needs certain conditions in order to grow. And a lot of these conditions are found along the equator, and it's called the coffee belt. And so these are areas like Brazil, Colombia, even Indonesia, Ethiopia. So as you can see, like, we have a few of the beans that we offer, and they come from different regions. So what happens in these locations is that it is the perfect condition to grow beans. What I'm saying is that it's a tropical climate, there's a lot of sun, they can get, the amount of water that they need in order to grow. So when you have these conditions, it's up to each farmer to grow the beans of their choice, and then they harvest it and get it ready for shipment.
So a lot of people can be confused between fair trade beans and organic beans. What is the difference between those two?
Right, so there are a lot of terminologies surrounding your coffee, and I know a lot of people can kind of get intimidated not understanding them or not knowing what they are. So when you talk about fair trade coffee, it's about the labor that goes into it, the working conditions of the farmers. And so there was a big movement and a big push back in the 80s, just because a lot of farmers were honestly getting gypped and they were not being compensated for their work fairly. So fair trade just means that the conditions are fair, they're getting a good wage, and that their working conditions aren't too harsh. But that's not really as much of an issue right now in a lot of the developed countries that we get our beans from. So as long as you talk to your roaster, you talk to your barista, ask them certain questions about where they source their beans, they'll be able to give you the lowdown on that.
Speaking of which, so you guys roast all your beans in-house.
Right.
So what is that process? Because off camera you told me that they come in actually green. And so how do you make sure that it stays fresh?
Our bean purchases really depend on how much there is available to us. So some countries, for example, Colombia is kind of a staple here. We're gonna have that pretty much year round because they produce so much beans, throughout the year. Whereas a location like Peru, for example, which we have at the moment, we have to wait for the spring harvest to come through and then get those shipments. So we do currently have the Peruvian. It'll last us probably through the fall, but then we just wait on whenever the harvest is fresh, whenever it's available, and that's how we decide where to source from. We carry two different roasts that are from Ethiopia. So one is the Yirgacheffe and one is the Sidamo, completely different flavor profiles. Why is that? Because of the region that it was grown, the soil, and even the amount of water that they get completely affects it. It's really amazing, even the altitude, how high up it is, the elevation. So all these things are what gives the coffee that you have a diversity, and so if you were to try a Sidamo, you would notice that there is a difference between the Yirgacheffe.
It's kind of similar to like vineyards, where like depending on like where you grow your grapes, like your wine can have a completely different profile.
Yep, exactly. That's just the way it is.
You taught me so much.